and thank you so much for joining us on the program. It's good to see you.
Thank you very much.
Right, so Gaddafi, I'm going to start with you. First and foremost, the scholarship program has been reactivated. I want to know the role of the union in making that happen, because there are some of us who have been students in the past who have missed out on all of these opportunities. What led to its reactivation, and what can you tell us about the impact it is having?
Yes, first of all, I would like to use the medium to appreciate His Excellency Right Honorable Amadou Umaru Fintiri for answering to our call. What led to revival of the payment of the scholarship is nothing but our effort and also the cardinal plan of the administration, because Right Honorable Amadou Umaru Fintiri is a man who has passion for education. For the past 7 years, Adamawa State students have not enjoyed this scholarship scheme. So a lot of administration come on board before me, over 7 to 6 administration before me. This, my friend here, is the immediate president before me. During that time, I was his Secretary General. We championed the struggle for the payment of the scholarship during the last administration, but all to no avail. Until when I come on board, I won the election as the president, then I start the movement. I met His Excellency only once, and he assured me that he is going to pay this scholarship before the first year, before his first year in office. And he has plunged his word into action.
So let's talk about what is happening right now. While so many students are smiling to the bank, there are apparently, like you have in most situations, issues with the payment system. There are some students who have, during this particular period of time, waited and waited and waited, and are still waiting for their own scholarship. What more can you tell us about some of these challenges and why the situation is unfolding the way it is right now?
First of all, I want to appeal to some few students, because
You're saying that they are not too many?
There are not too many. Out of 100% of those that applied for the scholarship, I think 98.9% of those that apply have gotten their scholarship. They have received the alert of their scholarship. So the only challenges we have is that some students initially make mistake in inputting their details, like the bank details. Some make mistake of one account number, some make mistake of name, some make mistake of, instead of putting the name of the bank they are using, they instead change it to another bank. So there is this kind of error. So, but as it is right now, we are, the Adamawa State Scholarship Trust Fund are already planning to settle these issues. They have met with the bank, they have sat with the union, they asked us to make a complaint form, and we have sent it to all the local chapters across the country, that anybody who is very much optimistic and sure that he had applied the scholarship and did not yet get alert should fill that form, should put his complete details, correct details, and that we are going to submit it to the Adamawa State Scholarship Trust Fund, and they are going to confront the bank and know why such students did not get their scholarship. And certainly, even today as it is, there are some people who have these challenges that they have verified and they have taken it to the bank and they have received their alert.
Are you alluding to the fact that there are some students who did not necessarily buy the forms that are claiming that they're still waiting for?
You know, the problem is that for the past 7 years, if I could recall, 2014, when the present governor, His Excellency Honorable Amadou Umaru Fintiri, was opportune to serve this state in acting capacity for 3 months, he tried to revive back the payment of the scholarship. So he has ordered the Adamawa State Scholarship Board as of then to do verification. They have verified everything. He was on the verge of releasing the money for the payment, then the tenure cut short. Then the next administration who come on board did not continue the process. Then after on, then there is another administration that came on board that spent almost 4 years, which is the immediate past administration. Did not do anything about it. So then he now came back as a governor to serve the state for almost 4 years. Now he has ordered the scholarship board, he has released the funds, and the payment has already begun. In fact, almost 99% of the payment is being done. Only those that have these few challenges. And moreover, scholarship is just is just to give some little token that will release some burden for students, maybe for the parent who are sponsoring students. But there are some, it's not compulsory, because there are some students who are really indigenous students of Adamawa State Stadium but doesn't want scholarship. It's not compulsory. So it is mainly a program that is designed for students of the poor, so that money will not be an excuse for Adamawa State indigene not to go to school.
Right.
That is what the administration wanted. So there are a lot of students who did not apply, and some students, it's not that they don't want to apply, but they have lost confidence in the government, because the last administration have sold the forms.
There were so many unmet promises.
Exactly. The last administration have sold the form and have not been able to pay until the end of the administration. So when this administration came on board, some people think it's still the same thing. It's going to repeat itself.
Right.
So as such, many students didn't apply. But now that they have seen its reality, Amadou Morfintri is a one-word man. He said he was going to pay the scholarship, and he has fulfilled his promise. Now more applicants are coming, and they are saying they want to apply, Why? They have already finished the application and all the verification. So unless, because I'm very much sure, because His Excellency have said it, as far as he's a governor of Adamawa State, every year he is going to pay a scholarship.
Okay.
So the next scholarship that is going to pay, we are going to get more applicants.
Okay, so let's talk, gentlemen, about stability of the union going forward. Right now, what are the plans to not only stabilize the union, but also give it, position it in a way that there is some sort of sustainability? Because we did talk about sustainability on the part of the government and how it can maintain the momentum. But let's talk about continuity in the union. What are some of these measures that your council right now is taking to ensure that this political instability does not reoccur? Because when it does, the government doesn't usually take the union serious about any of its agenda.
Exactly. First of all, before I answer these questions, and I want to tell the viewers and all other master students, I, Comrade Gaddafi Husseini, stand here as a symbol of unity. Because before I come on board, the union was factionalized. In fact, the union was, the faction in fact is beyond imagination. I cannot even explain how unrecognized we are in Adamawa State due to the faction division that characterized our union. So, as of then, I belong to the other camp because I have been in this union for the past 3 years. The former president, Comrade Bilal Abdullahi, has served as his chief of staff. Then, at the end of his tenure, that is where the problem began. Comrade Bilal Abdullahi wasn't being able to conduct election. In fact, he was out of the town. Then, other set of group of people organized their own convention and conducted their election. Then the other set of group has conducted the election, which I belong to the other group. I was elected as Secretary General. So then there are separate government. Everybody is parading himself. When you go, maybe you want to go for a courtesy visit, you want to see the governor and discuss about Adamawa State student, one group will send their letter, the other one will send their letter. Then they begin to get confused. Who are the truly legitimate leaders of the union? So this problem continues for almost the whole of the tenure, for almost 1 year, until a month, the end of the tenure. Then I did it not because I want to become a president. Then I now confront the other faction, the other group. I met them, I sat with them secretly, without even the knowledge of my then president. I sat with them, we discussed on how we are going to harmonize interests for the interests of the union so that we will form one formidable pressure group. Because the then government have neglected students, haven't recognized us, scholarship has not been paid, and we doesn't have an appropriate authority that will air our views because of the faction. Then I now ask them, let's put all our interests at heart for the interests of the union. Let's make one formidable pressure group. We sat down, we made the executive director scholarship board. With his advice, he advised us. Then I now confronted the leader of our side. And he agreed with my request. We sat down. In fact, there is even a court order as of then, stopping the other faction from parading themselves. The matter is before the court. So then I say, as a student unionist, from initial stage, where our issue is start going to court, I feel it's embarrassing. We are not supposed to have been like that. So I met my president, we discuss. You understand me very well. Then we now sat or decide and sign a communique, a memorandum of understanding, that all the factions will henceforth be dissolved, and unity convention shall be conducted to elect one formidable union. Then some students, a lot of students say, since I'm the one who initiated this unity, then there is nobody who has the interest of this union more than me. And there is no anybody who has more experience as far as NUADSS is concerned more than me. Why won't I contest for the office? I asked them, no, I'm tired. I want to basically face my academic activities. I don't want to engage in other activities. So there is a lot of pressure. A lot of students pressurize me that I must have to contest, that they want my service. That's where I contested, and that I set my manifestos. There are 3 main cardinal points which I mentioned. Number 1 was to ensure that I revive back the payment of scholarship at Adamawa State. Number 2, to ensure that the union have mobility, that means of transportation. Number 3, to ensure that the union has a secretariat that will be regarded as secretariat, not what we have before. Because what we have is a dilapidated building that was constructed for almost 15 years ago. I think 15 years, almost, if not 2002, 2003, that's when that building was put in place. So it's just a zinc. It's not even a building. It's just a roofing zinc, like a cage. And when I went there, I said, it's an embarrassment to Adamawa State. I say, a national body, that roofing zinc will be called secretariat. I now said, I will make sure. But the most challenging aspect of it is that I inherited empty treasury. In fact, the National Union of Adamawa State Students' Union's account is frozen. It's endowment, because there is no even kobo in the union's treasury.
Right.
So there I know I have a great challenge. Then I start meeting the government, non-governmental organization. I said, let me restructure the union. I started meeting with both sides of the function, bringing them on board, so that everybody will have a sense of belonging, so that the unity will last.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I just want us to delve into the issue of transparency as well as accountability. I mean, you talked about restructuring and all of that. There are people who still are very skeptical about unions, that the unions has had a bad reputation, so to say. Not just Adamawa State Union, but largely student unions have been misused for personal gain or for political purposes and things like that. And that's one of the reasons why people have lost confidence and interest in the activities of the union. How are you trying to divorce, for instance, political activities as well as personal interests to that of the union's interests?
Exactly. If I could remember when the union was divided into 2 different groups. The other groups aligned themselves with a particular candidate during 2019 gubernatorial election. They went ahead and endorsed the candidature of SDP candidate, Chief Emmanuel Bello. Then the other group went ahead and endorsed the candidature of Governor Umaru Jibril Pindo, as of then the incumbent. The other group went ahead and endorsed the candidature of Right Honorable Amadou Umaru Fintiri, which I belong to that camp, who endorsed Right Honorable Amadou Umaru Fintiri. And the main reasons why we done so, because we feel in our camp, why shall we endorse the candidature of the then government, that's Umaru Jibril Pindo, while he has spent almost 4 years in that office without paying scholarship. In fact, he does not regard students as indigenous of Adamawa State, as far as it is concerned, and he doesn't give education her utmost priority. Then we decide to pitch tent with His Excellency Amadou Umaru Fintiri, whereby we met him, we adopted him as a sole candidate of our own group, which was led by my predecessor, Ashraf Usman Marafa. So we adopted him as a candidate, and luckily enough, he emerged the winner. Right. So, talking into politics, initially, National Union of Adamawa State Student is a non-partisan union. We are not supposed to be partisan. But circumstances of the previous administration, that was what plunged us into being partisan. Because we have no choice rather than to engage ourselves in political activities. Because, you know, politicians of nowadays, if you just sit down relaxed without aligning yourself with them, they will not feel your value. Looking at the largest number of youth in Adamawa State, the largest component of the indigenous of Adamawa State, I think almost 90% are youth. And part of that 90%, 50 to 50-something% are students. Right. Then that means we have the largest block vote of youth of Adamawa State. Your
text message, because we are completely running out of time. I'm a new student. How can I register with the union? No name.
Yes.
But, yeah.
In all the tertiary institutions in the country, we have a formidable local chapter, which is Adamawa State Students Union of that particular institution. Yeah.
So whether it's SPY, whether it's FC, whatever institution it is.
All the tertiary institutions, we have a formidable local chapter. As far as Adamawa State indigene in that institution reach a population of over 200, we must have a local chapter there. Unless if the population is less than. That is according to our constitution.
Okay, so
you should directly go to his local chapter, meet the executive of that chapter, and register with them.
Okay.
And the chapter will be the one to come and register again with the national body.
Okay. Right. Moving to the next one. How do you identify those who are not an indigene of Adamawa State, but they buy primary, birth certificate, and indigene letter when applying for school? Damunti from Sangere Numan. Let me get to the next one. According to the examination conduct in Futi, they say that only 80 students had passed the exam. Passed the exam. Then how did we get 60? Yeah, exactly.
Let me come to that.
Just one more before we do that. I'm very happy with the program. I'm wishing all the best. Hassan Abubakar Dakri, Jore. Thank you so much for that. Kudos to the national body NUADSS for the good job so far. Comrade Gaddafi will be, what will be your advice for students who missed out on the funds this year? This will be the last one because we are completely out of time. Princess Safia Ruben from Dandu in Yola says, is the filling of the form still ongoing at the moment? So we do have questions about people who can fake their, registration, all of the necessary documents to prove that they're indigents of Adamawa State to get,
it's not possible.
to get on the platform.
It's not possible because I've said it before, and that we have caught some of them in Adamawa State University. There are some students who are not indigenous students of Adamawa State. They fake the indigent letter, they applied, but before. As I told you, before schedules is paid, before schedules is made, and be taken to bank, the Adamawa State Scholarship Trust Fund usually requests the satisfied list of indigenous students of Adamawa State in that particular institution, which they have done that. They requested the list, and the list was given to the board by the school authority. So if your name is not in that list, either you applied the form or you did not apply the form, you will not be getting, because they usually look at it and correspond.
So they have to, definitely, they have to square it all. It's not just the data from the union, it's also data from the universities or institutions. Yes. And if they don't match, that is a red flag.
There is a problem somewhere.
Yeah, I was asking about how we arrived at the 60 students that you alluded to that were going to be sent on for a scholarship.
Yes. The 60 students, you know, His Excellency approved the selection of that particular 60 student, and he said he is a government of the masses. It is the masses that voted him into power. As such, he directed the Adamawa State Scholarship Trust Fund to go and do their work, not like the previous administration, that they should go and conduct a CBT exam. When they went, then they now organized a CBT exam at Modibo Adama University of Technology, where all the applicants sat for the exam. In the first phase of the exam, 18 students scored the highest marks. They score above 50. Almost all the rest of the applicants did not score above 50. Then they now sat down and discussed how are they going to select. Then they now came up with an idea that out of those 18 are across local government. Across local government. One local government may have 10 students out of that 18 because they merited it, they passed the exam. Then they now says they should select three students from each local government, making the summation of 63. So out of that 63, then they now rewrite another second batch exam, all mainly for that 63 students, in the sense that they will select 2 best students in each of the local government. So after that, two best students were selected, making 48, plus that 18, 60.
All right. And finally, Princess Safia Ruben from Dandu wants to know if she can fill the form right now or if it's currently happening.
Yeah, she can fill the form.
Not for the membership, but for the scholarship.
Yes.
Right.
I cannot say she can fill, I cannot say she cannot fill.
Why is that?
Because the verified number of students that the list that was already taken to the government is, as I said it during my world press, is about 26,000 students. It's already been taken to him, and the governor has approved those 26 students. So if she apply, she may not get it now, but certainly she will get it in future.
All right. Gentlemen, unfortunately, we've run out of time. I do hope that this very good working relationship between the union and Adamawa State government continues to yield fruitful outcomes in the near future. Gaddafi and Comrade Ashraf, thank you so much for coming on the program. Really appreciate you very much for your time. Wish you all the best going forward. All right, so that is our show for today. As always, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Thank you very much for your time, for the comments, as well as your participation. Let's do this again. We'll be back tomorrow, live and exclusive on TV Gota. Until then, it's goodbye from me, Abdullah Ahmed, and the rest of the team. We'll see you soon.